Hi, this is Qiming Jin, and this is my critical reflection on Masa's case. The additional identity I chose for Masa is LGBTQ+. The presentation is divided into three sections. The first section is how I adjusted my original overview of this case. Then is how I changed the assessment about the risk and protective factors. The final part is my adaptation to the support and what I need to improve in my future practice. For the overview of this case, the core issue of domestic and family violence still exists. But because now there are LGBTQ plus couples, several factors need to be reconsidered. At the micro level, the first thing I considered is how homophobia influences Masa and her family. In a predominantly heterosexual society, LGBTQ plus people and relationships are often viewed as immoral or deviant. They may experience stigma and discrimination, especially for lesbians. The overlap of misogynistic and homophobic can bring more stress. In this context, LGBTQ plus couple may have minority stress and try to conceal conflicts or violence, presenting their relationships as harmonious and peaceful. This could be one of the possible reasons why Masa didn't report Andrea's violence for 10 years, because she may consider that disclosing this can further stigmatize the LGBTQ plus community and themselves. Another factor I considered is people's stereotype of LGBTQ plus couples. The public always believes that compared with heterosexual couples, there is not much violence in LGBTQ plus couples relationships, especially for lesbian couples. Societal norms tend to overlook violence in lesbian relationships because violence is often associated with masculinity, and the traditional masculine partner doesn't exist in lesbian relationships. So if Andrea appears as a female identity, people would not easily understand and believe what Masa had experienced. And even Masa herself might not realize that she had been a victim in the past few years. At the macro level, we must also consider that the LGBTQ plus identity can add a threat to social isolation in the community. Masa's relationship with her own family and how supportive they are in terms of her relationship with Andrea is a critical factor. If they disapprove of Masa's sexuality, this could further isolate her and reduce her support network. Similarly, the local community's perspective towards the LGBTQ plus community is also important. We need to know whether their neighbors support them. So compared with the original case, the support network could be totally different if Masa had this identity. Another factor that we need to consider is when Masa experienced family violence, she would be reluctant to seek support outside the lesbian or LGBTQ plus community. Because the whole support system in our society is based on heterosexual relationship dynamics, the practitioners in social services may not easily understand and resonate with LGBTQ plus people, and even have kind of stereotype and discrimination I've mentioned earlier. The community they're living in is remote from the city, so it is possible that there's not many support resources for LGBTQ plus people. Finally, at the micro level, we need to explore the power dynamics between Andrea and Masa deeper. Andrea's controlling behavior, such as isolating Masa from her family and limiting her access to financial resources, all indicate that Andrea positioned themselves as the dominant, like the male role within a traditional heterosexual power structure. So we need more information about Andrea's gender identity, and this could provide more insight into this dynamics. For example, we need to know whether Andrea identifies as transgendered and how this influenced their relationship with Masa. Was Andrea raised as male and later transitioned, or has she always identified as female? These factors could influence the nature and drivers of the violence in the relationship. Masa's previous relationship also plays an essential role. In this case, it is possible that Andrea could use this previous relationship or even her sexuality as a weapon against Masa. Moreover, because the children are from Masa's previous relationship, and Andrea is not children's biological parent, the controlling behavior towards the children might be different from that in the original case scenario. We also need to consider the role of the children's biological father, whether he could provide support or even add new risks to the situation. And understanding how children view Andrea and LGBTQ plus relationships and the power dynamics between them is also important. The second part is how I adapted my risk assessment. In my previous assessment, I considered Masa's own family as a strong protective factor. However, with the new consideration of her LGBTQ plus community identity, I need to reassess this. I would like more information about her family's view on her relationship and sexuality to determine if they remain supportive. If her family disapproves of her sexual orientation, they may become a risk factor, potentially increase Masa's isolation. The community's attitude towards Masa also needs reassessment. Previously, I considered Masa's connection with her colleagues at the op shop and her domestic cleaning clients as protective factors. However, now we must consider whether she had disclosed her sexuality or disclosed Andrea's situation to them and how they perceive LGBTQ plus relationships. If they hold negative views, seeking their support might jeopardize Masa's current financial situation and even make her lose a job, and turning this relationship into risk factor rather than protective factors. Similarly, Masa's previous relationship also has risk and protective elements. On one hand, the children's biological father could be a source of support if Masa leaves Andrea. He may take care of the children and provide Masa with accommodation. On the other hand, if he holds homophobic views or he has distanced himself from Masa, this could further isolate her and make it harder for her to navigate living the situation. Masa's own sexuality could be manipulated as a risk factor by Andrea. Andrea may use Masa's past relationship or her bisexuality as a tool of control. For example, questioning her loyalty or using her sexual identity to belittle or isolate her. This dynamic requires careful assessment. It could be a significant source of emotional manipulation and control within the relationship. The controlling behavior in LGBTQ plus relationship also need to consider whether Andrea is jealous towards Masa, because Masa is the biological parent of their children, and Andrea may not have the chance to have a child. So this could be one of the reasons of the controlling behavior. The role of the local LGBTQ plus community is also a complex factor. In theory, the community could offer strong support for Masa because they share same identity. However, because Andrea is one of the prominent figures in the community, the power imbalance is worth considering. Andrea is the older one and has more reputation as well as power, both at home and in the community. This may increase Masa's isolation and make her feel that exposing this abuse may not only damage Andrea's reputation, but also lead to other people's disbelief. Masa may also feel conflict if she still loves Andrea and wants to protect their family's reputation. Ultimately, Andrea may have pressured Masa into silence to maintain their public image. And moreover, Andrea's influence may make it difficult for Masa to find support within the same community. And it's possible that some members in the community might take Andrea's side. So this mixed dynamics means that, well, some community members could be a protective factor for Masa. Others could become a risk factor, contributing to her isolation and reinforce Andrea's control. For instance, Andrea may ask the community member to stalk Masa or keep her under surveillance. Social service, including the police and family violence services, were previously considered as protective factors. Well, now they can still be protective factors, but their frameworks are often based on heterosexual relationships, which could create gaps in addressing the unique dynamics of LGBTIQ plus domestic violence. This lack of specific source and understanding could delay intervention and increase Masa's vulnerability. So while this service can remain essential and work as protective factors, the potential for delayed or inadequate responses need to be considered as a risk factor in this case. The third part is how would I adjust my support and action for Masa? Considering the discrimination and stigma that LGBTQ plus people often face, it's important to ensure that Masa feels safe and supported when disclosing the violence she had experienced. So while providing the service, I need to ensure that she feels trusted and comfortable enough to share her experience. However, I don't share her identity, and my current understanding of domestic violence is largely based on heterosexual relationship dynamics. To address this, I would ask Masa if she feels more comfortable being referred to a social worker who shared her identity. And additionally, I would connect her with services specifically for the LGBTQ plus community. At the same time, to ensure I can offer appropriate and non-judgmental support to my future client, I also need to deepen my understanding of the LGBTQ plus relationship dynamics. This would including ongoing self-reflection to avoid imposing heteronormative frameworks on LGBTQ plus clients unconsciously. My strength in engaging with this case is that I am a female and feminist. As a female, I can better understand how gender roles and expectations shape power dynamics in this patriarchal society, and thus empowering women and other marginalized groups. And as a feminist, I can be sensitive to some societal stereotypes about both women and LGBTQ plus relationships, and then challenge assumptions that may downplay the severity of domestic violence in same-sex relationships, and ensure that Masa's experience are taken seriously. And then I can have the opportunity to help her access the proper support. And this strength can help me with establishing rapport with my clients in the future and recognize nuance in the experience. And this is the reference they used in the presentation. Thank you for listening.